Six Nations 2024, round four, top five players of the round, folks. Let's go through five players who stood out this round, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I thought the round overall was pretty interesting because on paper they predicted three kind of comfortable away wins and, not much drama, but I think we got a bit of the opposite. Heaps of drama, some upsets, and some interesting rugby. But yeah, I was also joined by former England captain Chris Robshaw the other day too. So we will put him on shortly. Play you the chat that I had with him. We talked about rugby and why leadership is such an important thing. But yes, I should say this episode is brought to you by eToro, the official investing and trading partner of Premiership Rugby. So thanks to eToro for sponsoring the episode. You can tackle investing the smart way and join millions of UK investors on eToro today, the friendly platform for serious investors. eToro is a multi-asset investment platform. Your value of your investments may go up or down. Your capital is at risk. But yeah, cheers to eToro. Let's start the first pick of the round. And I'm going to go with an Englishman who has been phenomenal all competition. He was phenomenal last year as well. Ben Earl gets man of the match in his game against the Irish. You could see what it meant to him in his post-match interview comments. He was really trying to shove that performance in the face of some of England's doubters, I guess. But I mean, he's been England's best player for a wee while. Massive on the carries. He scores a try. Always one of England's top tacklers in recent times. Big threat at the breakdown. So genuinely just class at the moment. I would go so far as to say world class. People may not appreciate that. Maybe I'll do a stats breakdown on him one of these days. But he has been phenomenal. He's been in phenomenal form. Second guy I'm going to go with is an Italian player, and he has also been in great form. I know Paul Gustard is a big fan of this guy as well. We spoke to him as part of our kind of perfect player series a wee while back. But yeah, Nacho Bricks, another kind of man of the match performance, and he's been very consistently good for Italy. I can't remember the last time Italy played with someone else at 13. It's been quite some time, and you can kind of see why, man. He gets himself involved in their kind of quick passing game. He is also one of their top tacklers in this game. He also gets a try. Like, he used to get criticised for just being a bit too slow, but he certainly got the nous to get himself in the right place at the right time. So certainly, I think, a key cog in that Italy performance against Scotland at the weekend. Now, as part of our 5 Players of the Round series, and thanks to our sponsor eToro, we are building the perfect rugby player. Just like you can build your ideal portfolio with eToro, we are combining aspects such as kicking, power, speed, defense, and leadership into something unstoppable on the rugby field. So we've had a few of these episodes already. Chris Patterson talked speed. We had Tim Stimpson talking kicking. We had Paul Gustard talking defense. This week it is a former captain, as I mentioned, Chris Robshaw talking leadership. So here's the chat I had with Chris just before the games at the weekend. All right, folks, good morning, good evening. Chris Robshaw coming along once again. Mate, good to see you. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been really well, thank you. We're over here in the Northern Hemisphere. We're starting to get a little bit of sun creep back through. So everyone's mood is picking up. And like you said, towards the end of the Six Nations now, so things are getting really excited. But yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, it's the absolute reverse over here, mate. The weather is starting to look miserable, but what's not miserable has been some of the action we've seen from the Six Nations. It's been, pretty entertaining. Ireland obviously still looking pretty flying high, but we've got you on today to talk about a topic you're very familiar with, which is leadership. What is it about, a good rugby team having kind of good leadership? Like, what is the connection between that and the kind of success?
Yeah, look, leadership is important in all sports, but I think in rugby in particular, there are so many variables in the game. There are so many different positions, different characteristics, different characters. But at the end of the day, you're all trying to pull in the same direction and get the same outcome, aren't you? And we all have a job to play in that. And there are some things where you might be good at with your leadership style and manner, but in a different situation, someone else in that leadership group. So whenever there's people always see leadership and captaincy, they only ever think it's a one-person thing. but there's such a kind of core group around that because it can be a lonely place. So I think for a good leader, and you look at any kind of rugby side, you've probably got a front row leader who's leading the scrums, you've got a line out leader, you might even have a pack leader, then you've got defence leaders, attack leaders, um, maybe the backfield as well, and then you're all kind of dipping in, and then of course that captain at the top, they're kind of making that final decision. But you've got to trust the squad around you as well, and those who have been put in those roles.
How much of the leadership is the stuff we don't see on the field? Obviously, we see, the captain giving the players a rev up under the sticks, maybe, or that kind of pre-match team talk, halftime team talk. But how much of it is the off the field stuff that we don't see?
Yeah, very much so. There's so much of that. There's so much kind of presenting to the squad, like in the week, tactics, what's going to happen, how we're going to go about things. But it's also the mood of the camp because it could be a really big training week. So this England side, it's a massive week going into Ireland, want to ruin their party, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes you have to just kind of chill the guys down and emotionally just help them relax so they don't get so pent up, play that game too early in the week, and then kind of use all that energy really. So there's a lot of kind of that man management. So of course you've got a coach that will do a lot of that, but being a captain and being a player, you're around a player so much more, and they relax around you, don't they? Whereas if the coach is there, they might be a little bit, oh, I can't muck around too much in front of them, just kind of thing. So you're kind of open to those kind of views of players. But it is really important to build those good kind of off-field relationships, but also there'll be different kind of age brackets. So you're probably a lot closer with your age bracket, or if you're a forward captain with the forwards compared to the backs, just because you spend more time with them, or your roommate and stuff like that. So it's important to have different leaders in different brackets so that the young guys in that squad still feel like they're getting their point across, or if they have an idea, they're not intimidated to come and speak to someone about it. Because at the end of the day, we're doing everything we can to win rugby games.
Sounds like a pretty unenviable position. I have enough trouble getting my two kids dressed and ready for school, but you've had a look at the Six Nations squads, and we've asked you to kind of single out one player that you feel kind of like, shows the qualities of a great leader. So who did you go with, and what was the kind of reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I went for Peter O'Mahony of Ireland. Of course, the Irish captain at the moment. I think he's got over 100 caps as well. He's had a pretty impressive resume. Of course, being very heavily involved with Munster captaincy, or being Munster captain for a long time, just stepped down. He would have been in that kind of senior leadership group, no doubt, with Ireland. So he would have had a key say in that. The other thing, the facts are they're the only unbeaten side in the Six Nations at the moment. So, I mean, he must be doing something right in terms of that. But I think also with him, he is probably a little bit older. They have a lot of good back row players. And he's built a good leadership group around that. He often now plays about 60 minutes because they have such good options and stuff. Someone else can step into that role and kind of take it forward. And that, I think, is a really good leader, that you're not stepping out of the role and letting the squad down. You've enhanced everyone else around you to continue those standards. And I think that's what really well.
I was going to ask you about that, because in some sports we see basically they just pick the best player to be the captain. But in rugby, we often see guys who arguably, amongst fans, there's debate, like, is this person even the best player in their position? But the coaches stick with them as captain. Well, what do you think? Rugby's a little bit different in that regard?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, because you see kind of press headlines when, I don't know, with England, you see certain players getting touted about, not so much this year, but in the past, but they should be captain. And you're like, do you know anything about that person, what they would be like, and all this kind of stuff? Perceptions are a funny one. So I think often, yeah, of course, you don't see the true ins and outs of people from the outside world, and you don't see the everyday things, because being a captain is a 24/7 thing. There's no doubt about that. You can't dip in and out of it. You are on, and I think sometimes you have to make those tough decisions. You have to tell your friends, the rest of the team, whatever it be, that things weren't good enough. And then you have to be able to park it and separate yourself and kind of be like, you know what, that wasn't great, I need to go to my room or whatever, and distance myself from the squad. Because as a captain, there's times when you're very much in a player's camp, and there's time and you have to back that. And there's times when you're in a coach's camp and you have to support them. So you tread that middle ground.
Well, as I said, it sounds like a pretty unenviable position to me, but yeah, you do need those top leaders to step up and make those decisions. Well, cheers, Chris. Thank you so much, mate, for coming along. Your time was very much appreciated.
Absolute pleasure. See you soon.
Yeah, cheers to Chris for his insights. It is always a pleasure to chat with him. One of rugby's true gentlemen, I think, from my chats with him. Top bloke, but. Yeah, Peter Romani was his pick. Got a yellow card at the weekend, but we didn't know that when we were having the conversation just prior to the games. Next pick for the top 5 players of the round. I am going to go with... I don't mean to do this, but it's another one of the man of the match players. I did write his name down and started doing the stats prior to the fact that they named man of the match. Believe it or not, but I went with that. The crazy behind the back pass is the one that's going to get all the attention from the French game at the weekend. But I mean, he scores a try. So lively. I mean, I'm a pretty big backer of Maxime Lucu as well. But I think Le Garrec may have just kind of put him out of a job in terms of the starting 9 for France in the absence of Antoine Dupont. So, yeah, really, really lively. Heap of passes, kept the ball moving, kept the Welsh defence under a lot of pressure. Got himself into some uncomfortable places as well to keep the ball alive. So really, really pleased for him. Next guy I'm going to go with is another Englishman, and it's another number 9, Alex Mitchell. I thought also ran the show really well. It's going to be a tough pick between Mitchell and Le Garrec. I think this week when I look at the team of the week, decide who gets the number 9 jersey. But, I mean, he set up a beauty of a try, and I genuinely think the way he keeps the ball moving, sometimes it's scrappy ball. England just look better when he's on the park. I know they had to bring Danny Kerr on for his 100th, but I thought initially once Mitchell went off, England took a little bit of a dip. I was wondering if that would have cost them. In the end, it didn't. Kerr had a part in the kind of final winning of the game, which was a great nod for him in his 100th. But Alex Mitchell, I think he is, because the number 9 jerseys revolved a little bit with England in the last few years. I think he is the number 9 for the minute. And lastly, I'm going to go with another one of the Italian guys, and it is Michele Lamaro. Again, the captain. He just leads from the front. If you're going to get this Italian side to win games when they are going to operate with around about 40-odd% possession, you're going to need guys to tackle the house down, and that's absolutely what Michele Lamaro does. I can't remember his tackle count, but it was in the 20s. I think he's probably the top tackler for the week. He's the top tackler for the Six Nations. You need this team to D up, and if you've got your captain leading the way, that surely inspires the rest of the team to get it done. And it was nice to see him not to have to give one of those kind of miserable, we tried our best, but it wasn't good enough kind of post-match interviews for a change. So, he seems like a top bloke as well. So good on him for putting in a good captain's knock. So those are the top 5 guys. We'll have a look at a team of the week a bit later. Cheers to eToro again for sponsoring the episode, and cheers to Chris for coming along and talking some rugby leadership. As I mentioned, pretty insightful stuff. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys again soon. See you later.